Hey, Willie, listen to this. Let me know when this gets irritating, okay?
No! It's irritating almost at once.
A long-running tradition of American TV is the alien sitcom.
You know how we've been trying to find something that will complete us as a family.
It's the theme of the season.
Seems like every generation has its own version of this fish-out-of-water comedy. You probably grew up with one of these shows, whether it was from the 70s, the 80s,
Oh, sorry, it just seems so human.
There's no need for name calling.
the 90s,
Can anyone get your head to swivel to the rear?
No.
And how are you supposed to lick your back?
maybe later, maybe earlier.
What are you waiting for me to say? Take me to your leader?
The concept has been used in various formats.
This is some bullshit.
From low-budget syndication to primetime animation
Nice meeting you, Mr. and Mrs. Conehead.
Conehead. The name is Conehead.
and the occasional regurgitation.
I'm keeping him.
There were even extraterrestrials on Saturday morning shows,
Bye, Mrs. Partridge. Bye, Mrs. Partridge.
like the most 80s TV show imaginable, a cartoon based on Rubik's Cube. The concept was basically, what if E.T. was a Rubik's Cube? They even take him out trick-or-treating as a ghost. And fly in front of the moon? Come on. Anyway, the list of sitcom aliens goes on and on. But right now we're going to look at a show that almost happened. A concept that might have been too ahead of its time. In 1964, there was an attempt to launch an alien sitcom, and it was going to be a spin-off from another high-concept comedy, one that starred a horse.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
Find out why the out-of-this-world spin-off never conquered planet Earth,
What happened? Why aren't you up there?
and how this one episode changed how we understand aliens.
I got a swinging party going tonight.
As we go behind the backdoor pilot of Mr. Ed. Today we're looking at a show that had 3 backdoor pilots. Before we get started, we need to address the elephant in the room. Or, the talking horse in the room. Mr. Ed is one of those old TV shows where I can't tell if it's really dumb or kind of brilliant.
I'll help you. Move your king's rook. Checkmate, you lose again.
Pop culture experts have thrown around the word subversive. When viewing mid-century entertainment, it can be hard to tell if the artwork is satirical or idiotic. When they first came out, films like Starship Troopers and Spinal Tap confused some audience members. So maybe Mr. Ed is one of those secretly clever comedies that just seems stupid.
It's such a fine line between stupid and clever. Yeah, it's just
Clever turnabout.
You can say that again. Culture critics have praised the surreal genius of Green Acres.
Wow. You've got an executive producer in your future.
Likewise, there are reputable culture writers who have a lot of respect for Mr. Ed.
Edward.
Stop calling me Edward.
I've watched a lot of episodes. I'm still not convinced.
I just don't understand it.
Don't try to. It's bigger than both of us.
Maybe I need more historical context.
Oh, he's gone. I mean, way out, man.
Or maybe I'm just not hip.
Boy, you said it, Daddy-O.
Go to the comments and tell us what you think of Mr. Ed. Is there a standout episode I need to see? Now let's get into the show and its 3 backdoor pilots. Mr. Ed debuted in 1961 with a simple premise. An architect named Wilbur moved into a house and inherited the previous owner's horse. And this was no ordinary animal.
It's ridiculous.
Week after week, the writers concocted all kinds of hijinks for Wilbur and Ed. But by the end of the first season, the show featured its first backdoor pilot, an episode called
Pine Lake Lodge.
Pine Lake Lodge. This Backdoor Pilot follows a frequently used format. The regular characters go to a new location and meet a bunch of new characters. Unfortunately for fans, Ed doesn't go with them.
I want to report a neglected horse. His owners are leaving him for the weekend.
I mean, you can't expect a horse to go to a resort. That would be absurd. Almost as crazy as, well, every other episode of Mr. Ed.
Slide in! Slide!
Anyway, Wilbur and his wife Carol head out of town for the weekend, and we meet the zany staff.
I'll get it, Martha.
The main character is Bill Parker.
Pine Lake Lodge, Bill Parker, proprietor speaking.
He's like a 1960s American version of Basil Fawlty, minus the comedic storylines.
Yes, I'll try and get it cleared up. Anything else? I mean, would you like the hotel moved a bit to the left or?
Bill is played by character actor William Bendix. He knows a few things about being in pilots because Bendix starred in Rod Serling's The Time Element, a proof of concept for The Twilight Zone.
I told you! I told you! I told you! Why wouldn't anybody listen to me? I told you!
Meanwhile, back at Pine Lake Lodge, hilarity ensues when Bill tricks Wilbur into cutting down his neighbor's tree. And that is the highlight of the episode. Just imagine, had the show gone to series, a different guest star would be tricked into cutting down a tree each week. The other highlight of the episode is a 1-2 punch of Wilbur's bare chest and this phone call.
Hello.
Hello, Wilbur.
You gotta give the fans what they want. For better or worse, Pine Lake Lodge did not become a weekly series. We can probably assume for better.
What have you got to say about that?
Aloha?
So now, are you ready to hear about the crazy cartoon alien who appeared on Mr. Ed? Well, you have to wait. Because there's still another Backdoor Pilot which aired at the end of season 2. Ed the Matchmaker involves Ed's new neighbor, a teenage girl named Emmy Lou.
Well, if you must know, Daddy, your daughter is the only girl in Franklin High who isn't going steady.
Fun fact, this new character, Emmy Lou, is based on a comic strip character named Emmy Lou.
Any Lou? I thought it was Zsa Zsa.
And in a historic moment of comic crossovers, she has scenes with Alan Young,
What do you know?
who went on to voice Scrooge McDuck.
I'm not sure that's an improvement.
Anyway, an eavesdropping Mr. Ed is like the Greek chorus watching Emmy Lou try to get a boyfriend.
I never heard that muffler before.
See, Emmy Lou's got a crush on the delivery boy, but he's got a crush on an Italian movie starlet who gives him a boner, which gives Emmy Lou a sitcom-worthy idea.
He's gonna get it right in the old pasta fazool.
Her plan worked, and the kids decide to go to the drive-in. But
Hello?
their romantic dream date has a problem.
What happened? Now Arthur's battery went dead.
But like a good neighbor, Mr. Ed is there.
True love always finds a way.
Believe it or not, this Backdoor Pilot is a pretty funny episode.
And now this very treasured possession of mine. I'll bid 10 cents. How could you only bid 10 cents for this brand new bikini? Well, my father won't let me wear it either.
And here comes the real punchline.
I wonder how I'd look in a bikini.
So ABC greenlit the spin-off. According to the book Spinning Laughter, ABC picked up the pilot as a series to take over the time slot of the Donna Reed show when Reed decided to retire from her series. Turns out Donna Reed pulled a Jay Leno. She changed her mind and decided to stay on the show. Thus, the trials and tribulations of Emmy Lou wouldn't go to series after all.
Guess your horse wasn't very lucky for me after all.
But don't worry, Emmy Lou would return to television 16 years later as part of Filmation's Saturday morning cartoon, Fabulous Funnies. An ironic name because the show is neither. Now let's finally get to that weird alien episode. The third backdoor pilot aired during Mr. Ed's 4th season. Now, you might be wondering, did this thing really run for 4 seasons? No, it ran for 6 seasons. I guess every generation has that sitcom which had a really long run. The Big Bang Theory aired 279 episodes. The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet ran for 435 episodes. And of course, The Simpsons has aired 762 episodes and counting. So in the grand scheme of things, Mr. Ed's 143 episodes isn't that many. Anyway, the backdoor pilot episode, simply titled Moco, begins with a social obligation.
Got all this work to do, and Gordon Kirkwood wants me to polish his punch bowl for his party tonight.
Yes, it's one of those bad party episodes.
Mary, you know about your parties. What about my parties?
You give rotten parties.
And Wilbur has to attend.
You know he was my colonel in the Air Force. I still haven't learned to say no to him.
Less than a minute into the episode and we've already got a great premise. Wilbur has to attend an uptight social gathering of former military men.
Gordon, this is delicious lemonade.
Wilbur, General Bromley does not approve of alcohol.
It's the perfect setting for an appearance by a zany alien. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's meet Moco, who's introduced in the opening credits as the mischievous Martian.
Boy, we've got to do something about those Earth astronauts. They're really reckless drivers.
Moco is voiced by actor Dave Willock, who you might remember from Hanna-Barbera cartoons like Wacky Races, where he played the announcer.
Wheels in the wacky races. Now the anthill mob is in the lead. Bust the buzz wagon with Rufus Roughcut and Buzzsaw. Buzzes through.
Moco, forget this whole adventure.
His fellow alien is Toddy, the straight man.
Tonight, you and I will think a beautiful symphony.
A symphony? You must be out of your cloud-picking mind.
You might recognize Toddy. He's voiced by 60s sitcom staple Richard Deacon, best known for playing bald, humorless authority figures. And one of the few actors to appear on both The Munsters and The Addams Family. So with Toddy, you've got a great foil, a stick in the mud who can routinely tisk-tisk Moco's cosmic shenanigans.
Moco, please don't go through with this project.
Don't go through with it.
Unlike other aliens of that era, Moco has no plans to conquer Earth or destroy democracy as we know it. His goals are simple.
I'd like to taste a piece of steak, smell a rose, dance with a woman.
To use modern marketing language, Moco is relatable. And if Moco is going to get his own spin-off, being relatable is key. Most viewers don't immediately identify with a strange blob from outer space. But what could be more American than wanting to eat steak and get laid?
With a woman.
A woman?
Yes, with that one line of dialogue, Moco has made a major breakthrough for the portrayal of aliens in American mass media.
He's cool. He likes to get laid. He's not that old.
Next, we see how Moco interacts with humans. In this scene, Wilbur is talking with his neighbor Gordon when a strange dot flies into Gordon's ear. That's right, Moco enters humans through their ear canal. Then he takes control of Gordon's body and mind. It's like the alien parasite in the movie The Hidden. Letting Moco assume control of a human host has two big benefits. First, it's budget-friendly. It cuts down on expensive animation, which in this case was provided by a company called Spungbuggy Works, who seem to specialize in mixing live action with animation, like their other big gig, Disney's Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Anyway, the other reason it helps to have Moco possess a human body, it allows the actors to play against type, essentially portraying two characters in one episode. Like all those storylines on Gilligan's Island where a castaway had an identical twin. Sitcom actors live for this.
Mela, Tasturiensky, Potenska.
In Amerikansky Dombelski.
Actors love to show their range.
Now, Wilbur, I'm depending on you to tell a few jokes and liven up my party.
So this takeover technique is how Moco can infiltrate Earth. It's also a metaphor for a backdoor pilot. For one episode, a new character is invading the sitcom and taking control of the episode.
You and your awful jokes.
Why did you make that Earthling put that silver bowl on his head?
Oh, I was just testing my powers to see if I could control his mind.
Now that we've established Moco's mind control powers, this episode is good to go. But wait, there's more.
Hi.
Wilbur has to meet with his new client, a gorgeous movie star named Gloria Laverne. And Moco likes what he sees. So once again, he assumes control of Gordon.
Miss Laverne, I've heard about you, and I came here for just one purpose. To invite you to my party tonight.
Moco is what modern TV viewers would call thirsty.
What's gotten into you?
You have no idea.
And he's not the only one.
If she had 2 more legs and a tail, I'd give up being a bachelor.
The talking horse said he wants to have sex with a human. This same episode features a drug joke.
I don't know what he's taking, but I'd sure like to get the same prescription.
References to casual sex.
And bring some of your friends. What did you call them down here? Oh, yes. Swingers?
And the mention of horses consuming marijuana.
You, Kirkwood, and the General were acting like 2-year-old colts eating loco weed.
Now we're starting to see how subversive this sitcom really is.
Boy, you said it, Daddy-o.
Later that evening, the party begins, and it is just as boring as Wilbur predicted.
I'm sorry I laughed, Gordon. I forgot it was a party.
Until Gloria arrives with her friends, the Swingers. So Moco takes control of Gordon, and the guests cannot believe what they're seeing.
I didn't travel 80 million miles to go to a funeral.
Moco spikes the punch, strikes up the band, and cuts a rug with Gloria Laverne.
I'll get rid of that girl.
But before Wilbur can kick anybody out, Moco takes over.
I'm sorry, Miss Laverne, but you are leaving.
And a startling metamorphosis occurs where Wilbur becomes a party animal. Finally, the General gets involved.
Kirkwood, stand at attention.
Yes, just keep calm.
Oh, nonsense. This takes a firm hand. And as usual, I'll have to take over.
But he is no match for Moco's mojo.
Oh, my dream boat.
You know it's a good party when a high society lady passes out. And the next morning, Wilbur and Gordon are too hungover to remember what happened.
It was the most bewildering evening in my life.
I wish I could explain it.
Wish I could remember it.
The episode ends with this gag and one last appearance by Moco. Sadly, Moco never took over the body and mind of the talking horse. Which is a shame because then Mr. Ed could have finally had some crazy shenanigans. You know, like he does in every other episode. CBS did not go ahead with a spin-off for Moco the Mischievous Martian. In the book Spinning Laughter, there's a quote from executive producer Al Simon saying that the proposed sitcom would have seen Moco taking over a different Earthling each week. For example, one week Moco inhabits Jack Benny and turns the famously cheap comedian into a spendthrift.
What?
Even though Moco's backdoor pilot didn't go to series, it was culturally significant. Before this episode, aliens in pop culture were typically a stand-in for some foreign enemy. You know, communists. They represented America's worst fear. The spacemen were cruel, menacing, and joyless. But with Moco, viewers got to see a different side of extraterrestrials. An alien that likes to party.
Let's get this party jumping.
Even though he only appeared in one half-hour episode, Moco paved the way for future generations of aliens.
You'd be surprised how much he's influenced popular culture over the last 60 years.
From TV shows like Alf, to movies like Heavy Metal. Thanks, Moco, for changing pop culture for the better. As for Mr. Ed, the sitcom came close to achieving the gold standard of TV shows.
6 seasons in a movie. 6 seasons in a movie.
Mr. Ed did air for 6 seasons, but never got a movie. Unless you count that Bobcat Goldthwait talking horse movie, which we don't.
A horse is a horse, of course, of course. A horse, of course.
Mr. Ed enjoyed years of reruns. And thanks to countless airings on Nick-at-Nite, it's become a symbol of the golden age of vintage television. And now, 2 final footnotes that have to be mentioned. During the satanic panic of the 1980s, Mr. Ed created a controversy. Pastor Jim Brown claimed that he found subliminal messages in record albums, including television's greatest hits. Specifically, when you played the Mr. Ed theme backwards, you could hear Satan mutter the words, "The source is the devil." Let's see if it's true. Mr. Ed, any comments on Pastor Brown's claims?
I don't know what he's taking, but I'd sure like to get the same prescription.
Nice.
Mom, Dad, click down!
This here is Mr. Ed.
In 2004, the Fox network attempted to reboot Mr. Ed with a script by edgy comedy writer Drake Sather.
Actually, I've been feeling kind of shitty for the past few weeks, you know. I don't want to go to the doctor, though. No. I just know he's going to say, "Stop shooting heroin."
The new version co-starred Cheryl and Finn from Twin Peaks, and the humor was very Fox.
You just looking at my wife's ass? Busted. You know that's a compliment to you, right?
That Henry's a horse's ass.
And bringing the sitcom star power, the talking horse is voiced by George Jefferson himself, Sherman Hemsley.
Okay, here we go.
What the hell?
Yes, I'm a talking horse. It's unbelievable. Get over it.
Okay.
Ultimately, this pilot feels less like a reboot of an old sitcom and more like a parody of rebooting an old sitcom.
Who you calling old glue pot? I can still get more play than P. Diddy.
This pilot did not become a series, but you can watch the whole thing on YouTube if you dare. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to Atomic Abe, hit that notification bell so you'll keep up with all the new episodes of Behind the Backdoor Pilot, and check out some of our other videos about TV shows that never made it, like the short-lived spin-offs of The Brady Bunch.
You don't even exist. That's the best news I've had all day.
Sounds good to me.